We must be alert this April 8, 2024, as we could enter the 3 days of darkness the Bible tells us. On the 8th of April, the world will witness a celestial event that has aroused both fascination and concern, a total solar eclipse, and it is not just any eclipse like the ones we have seen before, as it will be on the same day as the 3 days of darkness in Egypt. During this phenomenon, the moon will come between the earth and the sun, temporarily obscuring the earth. However, beyond its visual magnificence, this eclipse has stirred up ancient concerns and fears associated with biblical prophecies. In the biblical scriptures, astronomical phenomena are alluded to as warning signs, as the Bible tells us in Joel 2 verse 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. For many, the eclipse this April 8th awakens memories of ancient beliefs about the end times and divine judgment. In the midst of a world full of uncertainty and conflict, the idea that such a celestial event could be a harbinger of cataclysmic events is a powerful reminder of the end times.
What if, on April 8, 2024, during the awe-inspiring moment of a solar eclipse, the world experienced the biblical event known as the rapture? As millions gaze upwards, marveling at the moon cloaking the sun, a sudden divine light pierces through the darkness, signaling the beginning of an event long foretold. In an instant, amidst the celestial spectacle, countless individuals vanish, leaving behind a world in confusion and fear. The eclipse, a moment of universal wonder, turns into a backdrop for a profound and unsettling mystery. Streets are filled with abandoned cars, homes with unattended meals, and workplaces with empty chairs. The world stands still, not just in awe of the astronomical event, but in the sudden, inexplicable loss. The narrator weaves a tale of contrast, where the beauty of the eclipse is overshadowed by the chaos of the rapture. Families are torn apart, communities left in disarray, and leaders struggle to provide explanations and maintain order. Yet in the face of such unprecedented events, the story finds a thread of hope and unity. People from all walks of life come together, seeking understanding and comfort. Religious and non-religious alike ponder the meaning behind the events, driving conversations about faith, existence, and the future of humanity. Amidst the fear, a newfound sense of community and empathy emerges as people realize the fragility of their existence and the importance of cherishing every moment. As the eclipse ends and sunlight returns, the world is changed, not just by the loss, but by the shared experience of facing the unknown. This story of the rapture during a solar eclipse serves not as a prediction, but as a reflection on humanity's enduring spirit, the power of faith, and the unbreakable bonds that connect us all. In this tale, the rapture and the eclipse intertwine to create a moment of both loss and awakening, challenging us to consider our beliefs, our connections, and the ways we find light.
Did you know that if the moon disappeared for just 12.6 seconds, the world as we know it would be doomed? The Earth would rotate 3 times as fast, and each day would be 8 hours long. Winds would also be strong enough to blow the roofs off the top of houses. Birds and insects will implode due to atmospheric pressure. Eventually, ocean tides will lead to the flooding of almost every city in the planet, and this will cause the extinction of all humans. And even if the flooding doesn't do it, eventually the Earth would burn up from its core, killing everyone.
Did you know that the solar eclipse happening on April 8th is a lot more crucial than you think? Jesus spoke about Matthew that this evil, adulterous generation seeks for a sign, but no sign shall be given to it except for the sign that happened in the days of the prophet Jonah. In Luke, it says, "As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be as the coming of the Son of Man." But you will not believe the path of the solar eclipse will take. It'll cross over several towns named Nineveh and even Rapture, Indiana. But that's not even the crazy part. It also goes over the Ark. And it'll happen under the constellation Cetus, which means whale, which is what swallowed up Jonah. Subscribe right now if you want to learn more.
This scroll completely breaks down April 8th and the collapse of this simulation. Check this out.
7 years ago, we had an eclipse. That eclipse went over 7 cities named Salem. Now, exactly 7 years later, we have this other eclipse on April 8th going over 7 cities named Nineveh, not to mention the city of Rapture, Indiana. God says in the book of Luke that before he comes back, he will give us signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. We also have the moon, which is turning to rust. The Greek origin of that rust hematite, means blood. He says the moon will turn to blood before the terrible day of the Lord. The Euphrates River drying up. We have wars and we have rumors of wars. Not to mention every other biblical prophecy that has already been fulfilled. We are literally in the last seconds of the last days, y'all. And our God is so loving and kind enough to warn us before he comes back. We are in the last seconds of the last days. And it's so frustrating to be on this app sometimes. I just got a video of 1.5 million views taken down because I was talking about how tired I am of this world. Tired of looking up in the sky and seeing the lines. I'm tired of our food being poisoned, whatever. It just reminds me of the enemy's plans and how active he is to distract anybody right now, because he knows that the time is near. He knows that God is coming back soon. And so he's going to do his valiant effort to try to get as many souls to go to where he lives. And I just want to remind everybody that you have time right now. This eclipse is not the rapture. It is a direct warning from God. It is written about thousands of years ago, and it is coming to pass. We are watching biblical prophecy.
Now, but the amazing thing is people don't know. The solar eclipse is happening on the very same day as the original plagues of the 3 days of darkness began.
No.
Yes.
Okay,
It's on the very same day.
This one we're going to have.
April 8th is the very day of the 3 days of darkness plagues began in the original
land of
Exodus.
Egypt.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Is this a warning then? Is God's it's going we got the Nineveh and the Jonah towns going through, but I mean, what kind of warning is this?
Great question. Here's the thing. In Genesis 1:14, God declared the sun and the moon were for signs.
Right.
The only signs they can give is eclipses. All right. And the nice thing about eclipses, no false prophet can manipulate it.
No.
Okay. And they speak to every language, tribe, nation, and tongue.
Yep.
They don't need to be translated.
Nope.
Solar eclipse means judgment is coming upon a nation. Lunar eclipse refers to judgment coming upon Israel.
Okay.
Now, get a load of this. There has only been, since we become a nation in 1776, there has only been 8 total solar eclipses that have completely crossed the United States. I'm not talking about one that just clips California or Florida. I'm talking that traverses the whole United States horizontally or vertically. There's only been 8 since we became a nation.
Wow.
And guess when they occurred? 2 of them occurred during the Revolutionary War. 3 of them occurred during the Civil War. 2 of them occurred during the Vietnam War. Are we getting a hint of what this means?
Oh, no.
And so now in the 2000s, there was 2017, and now this one in 2024, and it's like a bullseye. It forms an X right over the United States. Now, here's what's amazing. Of those 8, only one, which was the one 7 years ago, it only crossed the United States and no other country. The other ones crossed Mexico and Canada and US or something like that. But the United States was singled out with
Just
the one
one.
7 years ago.
Yes.
Once.
Wow.
And now we have April 8th on Nisan 1. That Nisan 1 is the same day the glory of God fell. It's the same day of the inauguration ceremony of Moses' tabernacle. Okay, this is when this eclipse crosses these 2 places in the United States. And it's definitely God wants to communicate with us. People have to understand God wants to communicate. These eclipses are communications directly from God warning us of what's coming.
I mean, this is without a question a biblical sign. I was telling people earlier that, you know, you got the solar eclipses. That's God made. When you have a lunar eclipse or a blood moon that you were so famous in bringing forward, that's a God sign. There's 2 different types of locusts coming. You know, we know that. Yeah. You know, there's all of these signs that are coming right now are all God signs. They're not man-made, not man manipulated. It isn't Y2K.
Right.
Okay. It's not the Mayan calendar.
Right.
It's not Harold Camping predicting the rapture,
right.
all of which man made and failed. These are God's signs. You can't run from these. These are biblical, right?
That's the whole point. See, the problem is the church is on the wrong calendar, because our regular calendar is based only on the sun.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
And Iran uses the same calendar we do. Okay. Then you have the Muslim calendar, which is only based on the moon. Now they're both scientifically accurate, but they're not the one God uses. Like if I'm meeting with you, we have a 2 or 3 hour time difference.
Right.
If we're going to meet, we got to agree on what time.
Right.
God is the master of time. And if you're a slave, who controls your time? The master.
The master
He tells you
does.
when to go to bed, when to get up, when to do this. God, the first commandment, most people don't realize, the very first commandment wasn't given on Mount Sinai. The very first commandment was given in Egypt, and it was get on my calendar. Nisan 1 is the first day. He wants his people on his calendar. Well, in Genesis 1:14, it says, let them determine the times. Not let the sun, not let the moon. But the reason why, you can only have a solar eclipse on a new moon. You can only have a lunar eclipse on a full moon.
That's true.
So that's why he says, okay, your months are based on the new moon. This is why I can communicate with you.
Yep.
Okay. Passover and Sukkot are on a full moon, so I can communicate with you.
Because it's the appointed times. Appointed times.
Exactly. It's